guys, The Curious Owl here, and today I am back with another tag. This time I am doing the Reader Problems tag. I will leave the original creator of the tag down in the description for you guys to go check out the video. And so without further ado, let's get to the questions. The first question is, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Well, recently what I've been doing, just especially this past year, is I have this bin here filled with a bunch of titles of books that are either on my shelf, my sister's shelf, or my mom's shelf, because all of the books that we have in this house I want to go through at some point. And my sister just got 3 new books over the weekend, and I want to read them all so bad. And I just recently bought a bunch of books over the weekend that I'm going to be doing a haul for. And I'm really excited to add those to my bin because that means I have even more books to choose from. But oh my god, I think it's starting to reach like almost 200 books in total. Question number 2, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? So there's a lot of reasons as to why I possibly may not like a book, and sometimes it will get me to continue the book to see if it gets better or not. But the thing that I've noticed mostly that I've been DNFing with books is that I don't care about the characters. That is one thing I think that I always end up going with if I go and decide to DNF a book, is because I don't like the main character and I don't care about them. I don't feel like they're important enough for me to really care about. That's typically the one I'll go with. Sometimes if things are a little slow, I'll continue to read it, hoping things will pick up. I'm usually not a stickler when it comes to unlikable characters. I do like unlikable characters, but I don't like characters that are incredibly whiny and don't seem to change over the course of a book, which is why I DNF'd both Delirium and Shatter Me. Question number 3. The end of the year is coming and you're so close but so far away on your Goodreads challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? That's kind of hard to do. I tried kind of doing that last winter, and that did not work out very well for me because the thing is I'm very much a type A person where I literally try to do everything and anything under the sun, and I will go like hell to make sure I try to get everything done. But I've come to realize over the last several months that that's just not possible. I still honestly will make to-do lists that are ungodly long, and I probably won't be able to get through everything in one day, but sometimes it's because I don't wake up early enough, and I feel like if I woke up early enough, maybe I could get my stuff done that I wanted to. But anyway, to answer the question, no, I'm not going to force myself to try to read as many books as possible unless I know for a fact I'm going to have all of the free time in the world. But between, school and work and boyfriend and family, things just get really freaking crazy. Question number 4 is, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? Okay, so I'm not as super particular about this as most people are. I honestly don't care what kind of covers I get. Yes, it is incredibly satisfying to see people have the same cover, like all of the UK editions or all of the US editions or all of the new, editions of different books or something like that. But I'm not always like that's not usually my first priority when it comes to books. I just usually want a book for the purpose of having the book. I don't care what kind of cover it is. I don't care if it's a specific edition or not, like if it's a Barnes & Noble edition or if it's a UK edition. I really don't seem to care, so it doesn't really affect me that bad. Question number 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? I guess the people I would bond with are the people who also don't like the books. Every book that's out there always has a small group of people, or even sometimes a large group depending on the book, that does not like the book. And I don't always find those groups, but honestly, I'm not really bothered by people's opinions that are different from mine when it comes to a book, because we all have different opinions and different ways of interpreting books. It's just important for us to, I think, realize that, everyone's opinion is different, and sometimes we can learn from those different opinions, whether or not it changes our overall opinion. Question number 6. You're reading a book and you are about to start crying in public. How do you deal? I suck it in and I move on. I honestly don't cry a lot in public when it comes to books. Like, I might tear up a little bit and I might be like, oh, my heart's breaking, but even at home when I'm reading books, I don't cry very often in books, and that's not because things don't make me upset and I'm like a heartless robot. It's more of the fact that I just don't have the same heightened emotions a lot of the time with certain books. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some books in the past that I have cried my eyes out to and will wholeheartedly admit to that, but more often than not, I realize I'm just not much of a crier. Like, I'll tear up here and there, but I've never, like, full out bawled for a book in a very, very long time. Question number 7. A sequel of a book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, cry in frustration? So I think it depends on how long it's been since I read the book itself, because sometimes, you know, if I've read the first book a good while ago, and maybe, for instance, my video is on YouTube, I can always just go back to that video and look at what I had thought about it and read about it. Like, I know, for instance, with the Alex Cross series, which I hopefully will be getting back into sometime, it's been a year at least since I've read the last book in that series, and I have the next book in my shelf, so I know for a fact I'm going to have to go back and watch that video so that I remember kind of what the plot was of that one and my thoughts on it, so that I can continue with the next book when I get to it, because it's been so long since I read that. But if we're talking about something like, you know, A Torch Against the Night, where I just read An Ember in the Ashes about a month ago, I'm not going to need as much of a refresher on it, but I may need to at least look up the synopsis of, you know, the book, just to remember kind of some important things before I go into A Torch Against the Night, just so that I make sure that I'm 100% clear on what had happened, so that I don't feel like I'm forgetting anything. Question number 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? I don't really get a lot of people asking me to borrow my books, and the one time that I did, this is a horror story for many of you who don't like sharing your books. I gave a friend of mine my first copy of Elixir by Hilary Duff when the book first came out, and I never got it back, and I was so pissed for so long because she lost it. I don't know where it went, and I was so livid. So a lot of the time, if I do get people asking me for my books, which I don't really get asked anymore, it's usually just then I'm just not comfortable with giving this away, and I would just appreciate it if you respected that, basically. Side note though, I did end up actually getting a different copy of Elixir by Hilary Duff. I found it used at Schuler's and I was so excited. Question number 9, reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? I don't think I've hit a reading slump in a very long time in terms of basically just not finding a book that I'm really connecting with. I kind of had a mini slump with audiobooks in May because I had Delirium and Shatter Me both DNF'd in May. So I had a bit of a mini slump, but it really didn't affect me that badly. I think though if I do go into a reading slump, what I would more than likely do is kind of just put books aside for a while and mostly just, you know, focus on other things, and then maybe taking like a couple weeks to, you know, take a break from books and then come back and basically just look at something different with fresher eyes, because that, I think just distracting yourself from that kind of a thing makes it easier for you to kind of go back into, you know, your reading practices. Question number 10. There are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? New releases, it is very rare that I will actually buy them outright, because I'm not about buying a hardcover book for $20 unless it's something that I absolutely must have, like, at the moment. And a lot of times, if I do get them, it's because they're Christmas presents from family members or birthday presents or whatever from Robert or my family or friends. I usually just go to the used section or like a clearance section because it's cheaper, and a lot of the times you find some pretty cool finds of books that, you know, you haven't thought of picking up before. You just never know what you'll find in a used book section. And I just think it's a lot more fun to go to the used book section than to spend $40 on 2 hardcover books, where you can spend that much getting like 5 used books. Question number 11, the final question. After you've bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? We're not going to talk about that. So there you guys go. Those are all of the questions for the Reader Problems book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your answers would be down in the comments below for any of these questions. And let me know what are some of kind of your reading problems that you typically have, whether it's you let your books sit down for too long or you have been going through a reading slump recently. I'd love to know, and hopefully somebody will have some awesome ideas for you in terms of, you know, helping yourself with that. So if you are interested in doing this tag yourself, please feel free to be tagged in this video. I really don't care who does it after me. It's just a fun little tag, and I just think it's really cool to talk about, you know, the problems that we all have with, you know, being in the reading community and some of the things that we experience with books in general. So thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!